Good morning and welcome to my podcast. You're here fighting CPS with me, Bob Pace, and hang on to your children. The Child Protection System's what I call CPS. It's a very, very sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's not consistent everywhere, meaning that the Child Protection Agency that I've encountered firsthand and the ones that over 600 people I've talked to have said that it's uh, it's very corrupt. What I mean by that is that they really don't represent what they're supposed to do. The Child Protection System is a government agency that's a branch of social services that's supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse. It also is supposed to help out family in needs of food, clothing, shelter, transportation, education, medical, and of course, help you find a job. And it's also, they need to remove the children from your family, supposed to do family reunification. Now, they remove the children supposedly in imminent danger, but lately, a lot of the places around the country, including my case, they removed my children that weren't in danger. They purpose, in my case, and in other places around the country and around the world, they manipulate you parents, especially the people that are low income or maybe have a hiccup in their life and having a hard time. Um, I right now the biggest thing that concerns me is the people that were hit by the hurricanes off the Gulf, up the these states of Alabama and Georgia and Tennessee, Kentucky, even as far as Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and of course Florida. And Florida was hit twice, and a lot of their homes floated down the rivers. They're gone, and now the child protection system is threatening these parents. If you don't get shelter, we're going to take your children from you. These parents need help. FEMA is not helping them. In fact, one of the presidential candidates offered help and he was turned down. It was sad. A lot of people have offered help and they were threatened to be arrested if they provided aid or help. Right now, they need the National Guard in there and they need to set up areas with portable modular trailers for homes, temporary homes, or at least put them in tents and feed them stuff, not threaten to take their children away. That's how bad this social services is. It's a very corrupt agency, and it's got to change. It's got to change. Now, this particular podcast for the room my room's on is that I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week. That's 14 podcasts I do. And so if you miss something, there's always the evening podcasts. And all these podcasts are recorded. So if you want to watch them at a later time, you can. I do try to make my podcast different, but there's certain things that I do repeat, like how they interact with this podcast, and the 5 rules that I've come up with to help you with your CPS case. Wish that I had them and I followed them, because my case would not have been as bad as it was. There's lots of ways that I can do with this podcast, but we want to really strictly talk to people that have child protection system related cases. Now, the very first spot, um, the spot that you found me, we can go lots of different ways. I have questions and answers with Cora's Digest, which filters out all the CPS questions. They have answers, and we can go over them. I also have over 50 tabs opened up that have different topics and so forth, and we can talk about them. And so, um, also, if you may have um, comments or questions, you can text them to me too. There are 4 ways to interact with this podcast. One way is just by being in this room. You found this room, and I'm on. Okay, we have somebody came in the room here. Okay, good morning. We're here to talk about child protection system. And so I'd like to know the city and state that you're from, and about something about your case. Now, in this room, you can show emojis, you can give thumbs up, you can give hearts and smiley faces. You also can send me stars. If you want to subscribe to my podcast, all you do is click below, and then you can also um, if you want to be notified and be followed and so forth. Um, the second way that you interact with the podcast is that you can um, text a comment in to um, this page. Now, I'm broadcasting on YouTube using StreamYard application, and I'm on 7 days a week, twice a day. I come on at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's my typical time. On Sunday, every Sunday, I go to church, so I start my show at 8 o'clock earlier. I come on at 8 o'clock so I can go to church later. And then sometimes on Saturday, my attorney, Vincent Davis, will have a podcast, and I will come on early. Also, if I have a football game, Friday Night Lights is high school football, I will come on early too. So there are times that I'm not on, but this morning I came on at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time because I'm going to go to church. So typically you'll find me, in the morning and in the evening at 10 in the morning Pacific Standard Time, at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I will talk for an hour. Now, to text in a comment or a question, it should pertain to CPS. All I ask you is to put your first name, the city where you, the city or the county where your case is, the state, and if you're from another country, then maybe the province. Maybe the province. I do have people that text from other countries. I have 15 countries right now: Bangladesh, New Delhi, India, Liberia, Saudi Arabia, and then in Africa, I have Liberia. I meant to say on the Middle East, it's Lebanon. Um, Liberia is in uh, west coast of Africa in the north. Liberia. Let me see here. Okay. Yeah, Liberia is a small coastal town, and then further south, I've a small country called Rwanda, which is near it's Central East Africa. It's a small country near Lake Victoria, and then I have Mozambique, which is on the east side across from Madagascar, which is a little island off the coast of South Africa. And then I have South Africa, and I've had the West province of South Africa. Then going up to Europe, um, I've had England, Scotland, Wales, and then I've had Denmark and Sweden. Then across the pond, I've had in North America, Canada, several of the provinces, Vancouver, Alberta. Vancouver's not a province, but that's the city where they had text from. And then, of course, all 50 states, including Washington, D.C. All 50 states, including Washington, D.C. And then south of the border, Mexico. And then South America, I've had Grenada. Um, that had called in. They're on the east of Venezuela, north of Brazil, on the east coast of South America. Then crossed the Pacific to land down under. I've had Australia, and I've had the west coast, the east coast of Australia, the Gold Coast, in the Sydney area. Then I've had the south coast, which is in the Melbourne area in the state of Victoria. So those are the countries that have participated in my podcast. And so I welcome everybody that wants to talk about CPS or that has CPS questions. It's very important that that we pertain ourselves because we need to help one another. I had a case. I know where you're coming from. I'm not an attorney. I'm a loving father, a family man, and I have 42 years of marriages. Of course, they aren't with the same woman. I had a first marriage of 10 years, and the second marriage of 32 years. And unfortunately, the first marriage didn't work out, but I was able to marry again. Anyway, I have 6 beautiful children, 3 youngers and 3 olders. The 3 younger ones were trafficking, stolen, and alienated from us parents by the child protection system, the CPS. And they were getting in Orange County $60,000 for all 3 of them. That's $20,000 per child per month. So CPS is into making money. It's a money making machine. They do trillions of dollars a year. The money is so easy to send to them. The money comes from the federal government to the state and down to the counties. There's no one watching the money or how it's being spent. It's like our country is always worried about money. But, you know, the reason why we have no watchdog over money. We freely give away things. I've heard of toilet seats for the military government costing $5,000. It doesn't cost $5,000 for a toilet seat, but they charge the government that. It is sad. And with social services, it's a $1 trillion business. So they are bad. They are bad. There are good pockets of social services and CPS. And I know so because I've had several social workers on my podcast here. One from Carol from Maryland, who has a clinical psychology degree and had additional training for 6 months in Maryland before she started helping out families. But I love to hear from CPS workers and from police. No question, I'd like to hear from them. Um, so send your or text your comments, questions to me, and we will try to help you. If there's people in my room, they will help too. I sometimes have people that also call in too, that talk about their cases or anything else. Now, I also like to know a little bit about your case. So if you can tell me your family structured, are you husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, lovers, or partnership? And are you both involved? Are you both working together, or are you a single parent and one of you has left the children? Or are there multiple parents of children? See, some of the children I find they will have the mother may have 5 children but 5 different men. So you can tell me that. Also, the ages and sexes of the children and what the allegations were more than abuse or neglect. Some more details about it. And then, how were your children taken? Did you give them up? Did they come to your home to take them? Did you walk them down to the office? How did you lose, if you did lose your children? And most time it is. And where you at on your case? So if you include that with your comments, that would be great. That'd be great. Now, a second way of interacting, or excuse me, a third way is to be a guest on my podcast. I love to have guests. I have room for 9 more guests, and all you have to do is email my show producer. Her name is Grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's her email, Grace at vincentwdavis.com. You send her one of my shows, one of the 14 shows. I want to be on Bob's Sunday morning show, or Bob's Friday night show, or Bob's Wednesday morning show, or Bob's Tuesday night show. You pick one of the 14 shows, put in the email, send it to her. She'll come back, give you a link to StreamYard, and if you get bounced off, that link will work again. That link is good for the show. So don't lose it. She'll also help you what you can do and not do on the podcast. She'll help you there. And one of the, she'll tell you about certain things like no eating or smoking on the podcast. And then She'll tell you how to adjust your sound, your lighting, etc. Try to use a computer. A phone is acceptable. So that's all there is to it, being a guest. But one thing nice about a guest, it'll qualify you for a free 15-minute private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis, who is a dependency family juvenile attorney. He has experience. You're in the area of dependency law that deals with family and juveniles. And he's that man. He's been fighting CPS for 35 years. He's won cases and got the children back. He also is a trial attorney. Furthermore, he can sue. Once your case is done and closed, he can sue. And if someone committed perjury, like lying on the witness stand or things like that, he can also sue the CPS. He's done so. He's won millions of dollars, both in federal and state courts. So he's the real deal. So anyway, he's offering a 15-minute session with him free if you be a guest on my podcast. So that's the benefit of being a guest. Now, last thing you can do, the fourth thing you can do with this podcast is that you can call in. And I have a phone number, 626-698-0990. And that's a live phone number to my phone. And it's on Vonage. It's a web-based phone application. And so it will ring my phone. But before my showtime or after my showtime, I cannot take calls. I only take calls during my showtimes. So I just want you to understand that. Also, when you call in, make sure your sound, your background sound is turned down. I don't hear myself echoing. And then I'll put you on speakerphone, and you'll be able to talk to everybody in the room and talk to me. We could try to help you through it. So there's 4 ways. One way is just being this podcast, which is great. And thank you for the thumbs up. That was nice. John Frank. The third's a good number. I'm a third. So that's a good number, Frank. And second way is by texting me a comment or a question about CPS. A third way is to be a guest on my podcast. And then the fourth way is to call in. And if you call in or you're a guest, you get a free 15-minute session, private consultation with Mr. Davis, my attorney. He's the one responsible for this podcast. I want to thank him for providing it. And he is a very excellent attorney. He works out of Arcadia, but he has cases in LA County, Orange County, San Bernardino County, and Northern California. He also do other states, like he had one in Oklahoma. So he's licensed to practice law everywhere, and he is the real deal. He's a pit bull. He knows how to fight. As I told you, he's a trial attorney, so he knows how to fight. No question about that. So those are the 4 ways that you can react. Now, I'm looking for anybody that would like to call in, or you can text me a question and I can ask. Now, as I say, I have lots of ways we go. I have Course Digest. I also can talk about my case, about my 5 rules I've come up with that will help you with your case, about the CPS agency, about the social workers, and what they do and how awful the experience has been from numerous people in here. Hmm. Now, my case started in 2010, and it was a really hard case because I never experienced CPS or how they operate. No one does. It's an agency that's hidden and it has a bad stigma to it. I know there are good CPS workers, but the ones I encountered were very evil, very corrupt. And I had to endure. I've been fighting for 15 years. I had 5 years of false allegations come in. And then 3 years when they took my children, I had to fight them to get my children back. And one of my rules is to get an attorney because you'll find the court appointed attorney is not the attorney you want. The court appointed attorney has a caseload of 30 or more clients, so they won't have time. They won't have time to meet with you separately or strategize or fight your case. They're going to try to settle the easy way out. They're going to try to settle the easy way out. So, um, okay, I got a call coming in. Hello. Hi, who's this? Who am I speaking to?
My name's Sarah.
Is it Sarah, you said?
Yeah.
Well, glad to meet you, Sarah. And I'm Bob Pace, and you found
Yes.
me on the live podcast, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever heard about this podcast before?
Yes. I've been watching Vincent W. Davis. My kids were just taken from me like 9 days ago, and
Oh boy. Oh boy. So sorry to
yeah.
hear that. Um,
Well,
what part of the world are you in?
I live in Covina, California. So this case is
Okay.
out of Los Angeles County.
So that's LA County, right? Yeah, that's LA
Yeah.
County. And LA County is not a very good place. And
No. Not only that, I have a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 4-year-old, and
okay.
it's like been kind of hard to get them even in my family's custody. They over in Montclair, or somewhere in San Bernardino County, with a foster parent.
Okay, what happened? How did it start? I mean, are you
The the emergency response social worker said that she did everything in her, done everything she possibly could to, for me and her, to work something out. But she just showed up. Well, actually, they had showed up in the nighttime, and I had missed them. Me and the kids had missed them. They showed up with like 8 police officers, and so the next morning, I stayed up trying to figure out like what I could do, but really there's nothing I could do because they had the letter from the court, for.
They had a warrant?
They had something filed from the referee.
No, what did you see a legal piece of paper that said warrant on it? Okay, and was it
not warranted? Yeah, it's like to detain the children. Yeah.
Well, you got to be careful because
it was signed by the referee office.
Well, it's not a referee. It has to be signed by a judge. It has to be done at a courthouse.
It says it was done at a courthouse. But it's like really weird what they're doing because 4 days after they had been detained, the day before court, I got to visit them inside of the office, and my son was still wearing the same pair of underwear that they had taken him in. Now on Halloween, I got to spend 3 hours with them, and upon picking them up, my son was still in the same underwear, still in the same socks, and my kids had bruises on them. Not to mention the very first visit before court, my oldest daughter had a bruise above her eyelid, but I didn't think too much of it, because kids will be kids. But on Halloween, my youngest, being 1-year-old, had sustained the worst injuries. She had bruising on her head. She had bruising on her leg, on the inside of above her knee, and on the outside above her ankle.
Now, okay.
Had a bruise on his spine.
Yeah. I hear that. Right. I'm trying to start from the very, very, very beginning of your incident. Now, what were the allegations? Negligence or abuse? What were they?
Neglect.
And what was the details of neglect? What was the neglecting part?
Honestly, it's like when I had asked her, because it doesn't say on the court paper, when she handed it to me, I'm like reading it, trying to find out what my kids are being taken for, and so I asked her, I'm like, it doesn't state what the reasons are why you're taking my kids, and she said, oh, well, you don't have a phone for me to reach you at, and when they came yesterday or last night to officially get the kids, and we weren't here, she said there was an axe laying outside on the floor by the garage. The third reason was because my brother, he comes by over here, and he had his rights terminated. He had been incarcerated when he had court, and they didn't take him to court, and so his rights were terminated. And she said that, do I think it's safe that my kids are around someone that has, an open CPS case, which to my knowing, wouldn't that be a closed case if rights were terminated?
Well, wait a minute. Now, was your brother living with you?
No, he wasn't living with me, but he just, he comes and he's having car problems, so he
okay, so what
trying to fix his car.
Let me help you out about the Ellie.
I guess my 4-year-old had told the emergency response, the lady that because she had tried saying that he lived here, and I'm like, he doesn't live here. She's like, that's what Ari said, my oldest daughter. She's like, Ari said that he does.
Well, they're going to try to get your kids to say anything. You first have to understand that CPS is very corrupt in LA County. I know firsthand. I mean, my case was in Orange County.
No, I understand it, and you know what's ridiculous is that they took him out of my care, accusing me of abuse and neglect, and like they've only been in this foster parent presence for about a little over a week, and my son is still wearing the same underwear, same socks from when they had taken him, and all three of my kids have had some type of bruising on them.
Well, that's wrong. First of all, they're supposed to have change of clothing, and did you did you give them change of clothing? Did you give them change of clothing?
I did give them a change of clothes. Yes, I did.
Okay, all right.
And so on Friday, Halloween was on Thursday, and Friday it was just driving me nuts. And so I'm trying to figure out and call anybody I can. I finally got my formal social worker, not the emergency one, but the one that's going to be handling it.
Okay.
And I tried calling her, and she has a voicemail box that's not even set up yet. And she's telling me she wanted me to come in and test, and so I'm like, I hope she doesn't count this as a dirty test because I wasn't able to get a hold of her. I tried calling the supervisor didn't answer, and so I called the CPS hotline, to ask them what they think, if there's somebody I could contact. They told me to contact the continuance services supervisor, so I tried calling her. She didn't answer. Even to the point in the Glendora office, where Child Protective Services office, I don't know if they got annoyed of me calling so many times because I'm trying to figure out someone that can help me with this situation with my kids, because I had a hard time sleeping knowing the conditions that they're in, and even the receptionist, they were hanging they weren't answering my phone call and it's about to be 5. I called all the way up until around 5 o'clock, when everything's closed, and so I even filed some type of grievance, because I don't know, I called so many people and emailed so many different people trying to find help, and however I could, because like I said, I have a 1-year-old, 3-year-old, and 4-year-old, and it's really out of my hands. And I received an email around 6:39 later that day on Friday, saying that my complaint had been denied, which is really weird because I happened to get a hold of this kid, when the lady, if they're freaking out, she'll let them FaceTime me. So they had called around 7:14. I asked my brother to check the call log. He said 7:14 p.m. Now I have received a denial for my complaint at 6:39. So at 6:39, I received the denial of the complaint, and when I'm on the phone with my daughter, we have to be on the phone for maybe around 7:30, I'm going to say, until our call had to end because they said that the social workers had showed up at their door. Now, their social workers showed up at their door after they've already denied my claim. So they denied my claim and then went to go check on them. I don't understand it.
Well, here's the problem, and this is, most people don't know that you're not supposed to talk to social workers. You're not supposed to open your door. You're not supposed to give up your children. You're supposed to make sure you have a real legal document to take your children. It sounds like the document that showed you is not the legal document. And also, furthermore, you're supposed to have an attorney.
Well, there are so many, I'm sure there are a bunch of foster parents in LA County. I'm curious as to why. And I received
well, they only put them in foster parents because you probably didn't have a family member that they could stay with. Were you offered the opportunity to submit a list of family members?
No, yeah. They said they had went through at least 10 people that gave their IDs, and that none of them passed.
So you didn't have a brother, a sister, a mom, a father?
No,
that they could stay with?
No. It would be my brother and my niece, but they keep giving them the runaround. My niece, she's a child behavioral technician. She deals with little kids and stuff, and even on the court date, we had I had my public defender ask, that the kids, get an emergency or immediate transfer to my family and relatives, and they didn't do anything. They just like noted it, but like nothing's happened, and meanwhile my kids are being bruised. And,
well, I know you see you're frustrated because you don't know the system, and further, do you have an attorney you've hired?
No, I mean I've called Vincent W. Davis. That's who I'm really trying to convince my dad, because I cannot afford it myself.
Well, no, I know really, Mr. Davis. He is probably the best attorney you could have that could fight CPS case. But did you know by calling in and being on my phone, I'm going to give you a 15-minute free consultation with Mr. Davis that you can talk to him for 15 minutes for free. I don't know if you'd be interested in that, but
no, I am really interested.
What you need to do is you need to talk to a real attorney. The attorney that they appoint you, may be free, but they have a caseload.
I sent her videos that I had liked from Mr. Davis's his channel, and she did not like that. She's like, I told her with all due respect, I'm like, this guy, he's like,
well, you don't want to. First of all, you don't want to tell CPS.
And she did not like that.
Yeah, you don't want to tell CPS about Vincent Davis. Okay.
Do not, you said?
Yeah, you do not tell about Vincent Davis to CPS because they don't like.
To my public defender.
You don't want to tell your public defender because he
didn't cross-examine.
Yeah. First of all, that isn't a public defender. What that is, that's a court-appointed attorney. It's like a public defender, but they're given out by social services, hoping the parents will take them so they can trap you further in the hole. Their whole purpose is to make trillions of dollars off everybody. They are into it for money. They get like.
No, I understand that. And she told me, she's like,
there's
no special perks.
Yeah,
she had me sign up for video court. She said there's no special perks for going into court. Trying to make it seem, she made it seem like, I'm gonna make her job harder. And video court would just be easier, and that there's no special. No.
The first step.
So I listened to her, and
Sarah,
I did my first.
Sarah, you got to calm down and let me say some things in here. I've been hearing you that's fine. You're upset. You're anxious. I feel for you. I care for you. I know what you're going through. You were like Alice in Wonderland, and you fell in that rabbit hole, and you met the Cheshire Cat, and the Cheshire Cat's telling you to go from one room to the next room. You're going nowhere. You have to understand that child protection system in LA County does not care about families. They don't care about seniors or elders. They don't care about children. They want to alienate you from your child. They want to keep your child in foster care. They want to control you so that you take a court-appointed attorney. The court-appointed attorney has a caseload of 30 or more clients. They don't have time for your case. They won't fight for your cases. They'll make promises, but they work for social services. They work for the child protection system. They are not a real true attorney. They're not even schooled in dependency law. You're in what's called dependency law, family juvenile dependency law. And you need an attorney that has that background. And not only is Mr. Davis good about getting children back, he's also done civil lawsuits. He's one of the few attorneys in the country that sued CPS and won millions of dollars in both federal and state court. So he's a trial attorney. He's been doing this for 35 years. And I'm not saying you have to use him. Just talk to him for 15 minutes.
I've been watching his
podcast. It's going to be hard to contact him that way. I'm going to give you an inside track because you came to my podcast. I care about all the people that come in my room. I've done special arrangements with Mr. Davis. And I'm going to give you an email address to send your request for a 15-minute free consultation by Zoom with Mr. Davis. And so...
And do you know if he's able to look up by case number? Because if he could just
Vincent, in your 15 minutes, in your 15 minutes, Yeah, in your 15 minutes, there won't be time to look up case numbers and stuff. He doesn't want to see your case. He's going to listen to what you have to say in your 15 minutes and give you advice. He's going to tell you how to navigate in CPS.
Yeah.
And,
And
he also will tell you about his retainer, okay? Which I know that you want to convince your dad to get. But if you don't get an attorney, your case is going to get worse and worse. Now, I still don't know at the first meeting of the CPS, at your very first meeting, how did that happen? Is it just they came knocking at your door, or what?
My mother called, and she's always she's pretty out there. We'll just put it that way. And she
So your mother contacted CPS, which is the nightmare. Your mother opened up Pandora's box.
Well,
she opened up a can of worms.
She always threatens it.
Yeah.
I mean, I have videos of her saying that she.
No, I know that. But videos and documentations by a layperson are not going to go anywhere. You need an attorney to present all this evidence, and that court-appointed attorney won't present it. In fact, if you have a court-appointed attorney, you won't be able to talk in court because you have to go through him. That's why they hope you take the court-appointed attorney. You can also do it yourself. You can do what's called pro se, where you can defend yourself. I don't recommend that because you don't know the laws of the court. They will eat you up alive in there. So you need to get a real attorney. You need to get a dependency family juvenile law attorney. You don't want to discuss with your court-appointed attorney that you're talking to Mr. Davis. You don't want to discuss that because they know that they won't have a job because they'll lose you as a client. See, they're beginning attorneys, and they are paid by the Child Protection Agency. They're controlled by the judge. They're controlled by the other attorneys. You see, your children each have a court-appointed attorney like that.
I think I watched every single video that Mr. Davis has made.
Good.
I have learned from watching.
Now, now that you've been watching Mr. Davis's, and hopefully you can watch mine because I have a lot of information. I have the 4 rules that you can talk about.
Okay.
Let me, Faye, if you can hear me, Faye's from Richmond, Kentucky, and she's been on my show to help me in my podcast. And so she came on and she said, Bob, they do not like to place the kids with relatives. I know that, Faye. I understand that. I'm just trying to say if she did try that. Often they'll deny every relative or avoid placing them in relatives' homes because they don't get federal money when they put in relatives. And here's
they took them, they placed them.
Okay.
Placed them immediately.
No, they do this. They do this well because you have no control. Your first question should have been when your mom called the CPS and CPS contacted you, says, I have an attorney. You need to speak to my attorney before we go much further. His name is such and such, or the phone, or we'll get back to you. We'll have a meeting at Starbucks or meet at McDonald's. Don't go to their office. Don't have them come to your home. They're going to be fishing at your home. They're going to be fishing at home.
I haven't had a phone. I just got one yesterday, but she was given my sister's number. She was given my aunt's number, and she never called, never messaged. She would just show up.
No, they're going to
drop in.
You have to understand, they're manipulators. They're going to get a hold of your family members and turn them against you. They're going to go fishing for information. They're not fair people. They're not even licensed or trained or college educated or even high school educated. They are animals. And I'm not afraid to say that to them because that's the people that I've been dealing with is the animals of CPS. And if this really will sink into your mind, let me tell you about 8 social workers in Prescott, Arizona. Prescott, Arizona is the town where they filmed the Billy Jack movies. There's 4 of them in the 60s and 70s. And it was about activism and about the American Indian movement. Anyway, they have a Department of Children's Services there, and they had 8 female social workers working there. And they decided one day to buy pink T-shirts. And pink, is supposed to be breast cancer awareness and so forth, but that's not what they're promoting.
Yeah.
On the front of the T-shirts, they said they're professional child kidnappers. And on the back, they said, "Parents, do you know where your children are at?" That was a message that they paraded around at Costco, Walmart, Kmart, Best Buys, Target, all the big department stores until they were caught and they were fired along with the director. But what I'm telling you is that that's what social workers are. They are professional child kidnappers. They are experts. They know how to alienate, which is against the law. They know how to traffic, which is against the law. Trafficking children is illegal, but they get away with it because they use the ruse of their CPS authority, and they over exercise it because they use policemen. And policemen are duped into not knowing what CPS can do and not do. They're duped, and they like to be really macho, and they come out with their combat boots and their combat clothes and intimidator. The police are intimidators. They don't know anything about people skills or how to work with families or how to work. The purpose when you have a problem with a family is to give them help, not tear apart the family, not break it apart. They do this all the time. They break apart, whether you're in Richmond, Kentucky, or in Los Angeles, California. They really do. And Faye is very much interested in helping you, um, Sarah, and she's relating to what she has experience on. Now we have Wildfire Win. I need to have a free consultation, please. Well, Wildfire Win, you can have a free consultation with me on the show after I get done with Sarah. Also, you can have one with Mr. Davis if you be a guest on my podcast by sending an email to grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's grace at vincentwdavis.com. And you pick one of my 14 shows, either a morning show or evening show, either Saturday, Sunday, whatever day of the week. There's 7 days. So, Wildfire Win, you can do that. And I'd love to talk to you further, but I need to address Sarah, who's on the phone. Now, Faye further says that, see what she says here. Feather says is that kinship guardianship assistance payment, KidGap. KidGap is a cash aid program that supports eligible relative caregivers in California who are unable or unwilling to adopt, but instead become legal guardians as the permanency option for exiting the child welfare system. What Faye is talking about a program called KidGap. Wildfire says she's in Texas. I need help getting my son out of foster care. We would love to help you, Wildfire, out of Texas. Faye says, look up Angel Eyes over Texas. Join that group. Wildfire, look up Angel Eyes in Texas and join that group. Faye says it's a real good support group. It's a real good support group. Wildfire, by being in my room, I'm on here twice a day. So if I don't get to you, don't panic because we have about 7 minutes left of my podcast. I'll be on again at 7 o'clock at night and again tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, my normal time in the morning, and 7 o'clock. Those are all Pacific Standard Times. So,
and also, I just wanted to know, I'm not sure if you know why, but the public defender, whoever's defending me, did mention that she had filed an appeal for for our first hearing because she said that it's not common that they have me submit to random drug testing at this point at this.
Well, you see, what's the saying is that you're doing all this stuff because you're talking to them. They're going to cloud your head with so many innuendos. You got to stop talking to CPS and let your attorney talk to them. You see, That is your problem. You don't want to talk to CPS workers because they will nail you. They will nail you so bad, and they will tear you apart, build you up, and drag you on for year after year because they're hoping to milk all the money they can from the federal government for your children in foster care. And that's sad. That is really sad. I really hate to see that. But I'm telling you, is that the first step is you need to talk to an attorney. And then you and your dad are going to have to decide on how to get attorney retained. That is an experience of dependency, family, juvenile law. That's what you got to be in. And I am sorry that this anguish has come to you, but it's going to take time. And you're not going to say, I don't have time. I want my kids back. I want my child's underwear. You need to keep track of everything. You need to create what's called a timeline incident log. A timeline incident.
Emails I receive or any type
Yeah.
of communication
You need
that
to
I
keep.
do or
You need to get yourself a notebook, a big notebook,
yeah, I've already done
8.5 by what is it, 8.5 by 11, and it's a 3-ring binder. And you need to get tabs. I need to stuff it full of college rule notebook paper. Use a pencil, and then do what's called an incident log. Anytime you talk to a police, a social worker, a parent, a school, or a relative, where it is, you write down the date, the time, the location, and who was involved in the first line. On the second line, you write a summary of what your incident's about. The third line is the outcome. If you don't have an outcome, leave a blank, come back later when you do have an outcome. And you do that with every incident starting from day one forward. And that way, in 6 months' time, you can refer to it because you're not going to remember everything. And you can put all your other documents, your court documents, in that notebook and organize it. But that's one thing that will help you. That's one thing that will help you. I know Sarah is going to move now. Do you have a paper and pencil so I can tell you how to get that 15-minute of free time with Mr. Davis? By the way, Wildfire, if you call in or you're a guest on my podcast, you get 15 minutes with Mr. Davis. Now, you're going to contact my producer. Her name is Grace. Now, her email is grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's grace at vincentwdavis.com. And let me see if I can put that up there. So,
and then I just email.
What you're going to do is that you're going to sit there and say, I talked on Bob's Pace's CPS show on Sunday, November 3rd at his 8 o'clock morning show. And he told me that I qualify for a 15-minute free consultation with Mr. Davis. And then she will email you back and she'll set it up. She's my show producer. She's really good at what she does. And if it doesn't work or you don't hear back from her, you call me on my show. You come back to my show. I'm on twice a day, so I'm not hard to find. And I've been doing this for a year, and I'm very meticulous on every day. It's a lot of work, 7 days a week, 14 shows. But you're not lost. I'm here for you. I want to be here for you because I had a horrible case. I had a case so bad that my social worker took revenge and forced my 12-year-old child to emancipate herself from us parents, divorce her mom, divorce her dad, divorce her 2 brothers, divorce her grandparents, divorce her aunts, uncles, and cousins, and then change her complete name to a new name, seal her birth certificate, get adopted by a foster care with a new birth certificate and a new social security card. She did all this because we caught her on the stand. My attorney was Vincent Davis, and he asked her a really simple question. My daughter was trying to be adopted by my wife's sister and husband. My wife and I did not want that to happen. So Vincent Davis asked her, what kind of parents are they? Are they good parents and so forth to the social worker, my wife's sister and husband. and also had they had any domestic violence. She said they're great parents and no domestic violence. Well, she committed perjury on the stand. That's a suable lawsuit, by the way. And she was embarrassed when he caught her because he pulled out 30 reports, police reports of domestic violence at their home, including physical domestic violence. And she cried, left the court, and everything. I'm telling you, these social workers are really bad apples. They're really bad apples, and you got to be
I
there.
know.
So please email Grace, and I'm going to
Oh,
have
I
to
did.
close my show. I want to thank Faye for all the help she gave me on the podcast. Thank you, Faye, for um, doing so, and I want to thank Wildfire from Texas. I hope you come on to my show tonight. I'd like to talk to you, or you could be a guest on my show. Um, I want to thank, you see, I leave anybody else, and Sarah, of course, who called in, who has extremely bad case. But don't fret, Sarah. I will help you. I will help you all I can. And I have people coming back to my show 20 or 30 times telling about the latest or asking questions. And it doesn't cost you anything to come on my show. It's as I say, you can you know be rest assured that I'm here to help you. And there's lots of support um, from people in this room. Faye, and there's also another girl, Natalie from West Hollywood. Faye's from Richmond, Kentucky. KK Richardson is from Brooklyn, New York. I have a lot of support group on here. So, Sarah, what you need to do is
Mhm.
you need to talk to Vincent Davis, and you need to talk to your dad about getting an attorney, because without an attorney, you're going to have an uphill battle. Keep fighting, do what they ask you to do, don't argue, do not divulge information, and eventually you'll get your children back. Eventually you get your children back. I can't guarantee it, but I know that parents that stick with what they're asking, don't talk to social workers, and don't try to fight them, and get an attorney, they will get their children back. So God bless you all. Thank you, Sarah,
Thank you.
for calling in, and rest assured, you all, and I'll see you all tonight at my 7 p.m. Pacific Standard uh, show.